Rhythm is the repetition of accent and stress in a line of poetry, a sound device that emphasizes intent and what's important. We use grammar to communicate where to stop and how to read, and we use rhyme and repetition to stress key phrases and feelings. Let's talk about some exercises and play with rhythm in writing poetry. We'll use a painting as our inspiration. George Seurat's A Sunday Afternoon on the Island of La Grangette. As a poet, we're trying to walk a reader through an image or an experience like a tour guide. Like a tour guide might point out something and give you a lot of details, we're pointing out to something in the world or in the intangible world and saying, look closer at this. Look closer at this feeling. Look closer at this action. We can walk a reader through moments, experiences, and feelings and individual actions within this painting. The way we bring readers to understand what we're showing is through rhythmic lines that connect to the feelings we wish to point out to the reader. For our first exercise, we're going to write a stanza with an AABB rhyme scheme. Let's look at this painting. We're going to find an action or a character and try to think about what's going on. So in this painting, I can see right here these two young girls. One of them is looking down, very focused on her flowers, very distant from what everyone else is doing. I see that she's sitting on the edge of the sunlight. I see that she's in the shadow. I see that she's with a friend who has an umbrella, who's looking out toward the water like a lot of the folks on the painting are. But this young woman with the flowers looks differently. Imagining these individual actions, I'm going to start writing out words or saying words that might connect to the action with the idea of maybe finding words of emphasis that I could rhyme with. I might find light, shadow, flower, girl, alone, friend, sun. I might think about phrases, right on the sunlight, right at the edge of the shadow, the edge of the sun, away from everybody, away from everyone. And all of a sudden I hear that thing, sun, everyone. Okay, what am I trying to communicate? I want to kind of put people in this individual moment. As I'm interpreting it, this is someone who's kind of alone in their own space within the park. So I want to bring people in that feeling of being alone, even in a park full of people. I also want to bring in the friend here because the friend is sitting next to there. This is someone that someone would feel comfortable being alone with. With a couple of drafts, I could try to write out a stanza with a few and communicate a feeling I imagine for these characters and their action. So this is what I wrote. A girl in Sunday clothes sits at the edge of the sun under the tree's shadow, away from everyone, except her friend. The friend understands. The flowers are enough for her command. For rhythm, I have this in rhyme scheme, sun, everyone, understands, command. I'm also including specific grammar so that we can kind of pause or emphasize specific language. Under the tree shadow, pause, away from everyone. That way we can highlight away from everyone. But then we have this dash, away from everyone, except her friend. We have this aside, away from everyone, except her friend, so that we can both express this person feeling alone, but also the fact that she has this friend makes her feel comfortable being alone. Away from everyone, except her friend. The friend understands. The flowers are enough for her command. For exercise 2, let's write a poem that plays with a repeating phrase. A repeating phrase has the sonic quality of an incantation or chant. The idea of repetition is to immerse the reader in the present of the moment we're describing, similar to the way people chant Om in repetition with meditating. An example, April Rain Song by Langston Hughes. Let the rain kiss you. Let the rain beat upon your head and with silver liquid drops. Let the rain sing you a lullaby. That repetition, as I said, it's a chant. It's almost invitation in the moment. Let the rain, let the rain, let the rain. If I'm looking at our painting, I want to find an action or a character and immerse the reader into what they're feeling using a repeating phrase. Let's take a look at this couple. All the way far off, you've really got to zoom to see them. You see kind of the way that other couples are together, by each other, standing with each other. See this couple right here, just walking, doing a stroll, and then you see this couple, her arm around him. That's interesting. When I see this couple, I see that arm around them, a gesture of affection unlike other couples more prominently in the painting. They're less prominent. It's as if they're hiding. That being in a place like this gives them space to express each other and express affection more openly. They can do something they normally cannot do. So the key to using a repeating phrase is to find the right repeating phrase. The way it might start off in brainstorming, just to describe the action. Just describe the action and figure out if there's a phrase in just our vocabulary that kind of connects. So I said they can do something they normally cannot do. Normally cannot do, or they can. They can. They can do this. They can do this. They can do this. Okay, maybe let's pivot toward their point of view, and we can use we can. This is a draft that I wrote, repeating the phrase we can. We can allow the sun over us here. We can allow our arms around us. We can give in and not worry. Who cares? We can tell the world to let us exist. For our final exercise, write a poem using cadence. By cadence, write a poem that sounds like a person talking with the rhythm or cadence of conversation. As an example, let's look at a few lines from Meditations in Emergency by Frank O'Hara. Why should I share you? Why don't you get rid of someone else for a change? I am the least difficult of men. All I want is boundless love. Even trees understand me. Good heavens, I lie under them too, don't I? I'm just like a pile of leaves. Through the vernacular and regular everyday speech patterns of someone, we can emphasize an experience or feeling through a point of view. In this painting, I'm looking for a pair who might converse or talk to each other. So I see in the painting right here, I see this pair here, a friend sitting down, or her sister sitting down with her umbrella, and then another person fishing. With this pair, I find one woman fishing using a pole, unlike the other fishers who are mostly men. I imagine this fisherwoman is someone who seeks pleasure and has less regard for the norms. I see someone else sitting on the ground nearby, a friend with an umbrella in hand, almost sulking. That's how I'm interpreting it. It's almost sulking. I can imagine a point of view of the fisherwoman, of someone in their element. And I can also imagine a conversation of that individual telling off her friend. So this is what I drafted. I have my fishing pole. I plan to stand. You can sit. You can keep the umbrella out and protect yourself. That's fine. I will fish. I will care less about so much more. To wrap up, rhythm and sonic emphasis in poetry requires a lot of attention to how we want the reader to feel. It requires saying our poetry out loud to figure out if it sounds right to what we imagine.